Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I give to you. And that's enough of that. Welcome to Ben's vlog. Yes, that's right. The internet has been running wild with rumours that my show is back, and that's bullshit. I told you earlier. Yeah, great. You've asked me a couple of questions, which is fab, and I can't wait to jump straight into them. I briefly looked over all the questions you've asked, and I'm actually really excited to answer them. So, without further ado, after about 7, 8 months of not doing one, my vlog is back. Uh, you know, couple of points actually before we get into this. A shout out to Grange. Secondly, as you can see, I'm far bigger than Batista and Brock Lesnar put together in a Big E Langston sandwich. I'm just, yeah. Um, you're probably wondering what's with the glasses and the hat. Yeah, I'm now wondering that too. I'm a little bit of a strange individual. Anyway, I'm gonna get straight on to the questions. Before you're wondering why I'm looking back and forth between you and you, my laptop screen is broke, so it's hooked up to the TV. So yeah, laptop TV, not fun. My first question was from John, and John said, "Erection achieved. How excited are you for Omega versus Oblivion?" I'm actually incredibly excited because we've never done Omega versus Oblivion before. We've probably been in at least 3 or 4 um, big E-Feds in the past. So it's going to be great to finally get the opportunity to sort of work these angles with you. I mean, we've already given the people a taste there with a bit of back and forth through promos. Excuse me. So it's going to be exciting to finally see what sort of heights we can take it to, and hopefully get a great rivalry out of it. Because we've both had great rivalries in the past, and what I think a big element of this is would have to be, this is extremely egotistical here for a moment, but I had to work extremely hard to become a respected role player then, like I am now, and I had to do a lot of work on my promos. And, I've been regular member on forum boards for the last 5.5 years. So and the same for John. As a compliment I can pay to John, you've looked down time and you can see that his promos have just got better and better and better. So it's really exciting now for the both of us to finally work on this rivalry because it's both our main guys. Oblivion being mine, Omega being yours. So for this sort of clash of the Titans, if you will, for it finally to happen, and nonetheless on IWA, um, it's going to be great, and I promise you the right up to the match, the last man standing match, by the way, it'll be absolutely epic, and people will be keen to read because the build up will be that good. So yeah, I can't describe how happy I am that we are finally getting to do it. So it's going to be great. Right, I looked at this earlier and I was not thrilled at the prospect of having to do this. Daniel Bryan, Cesaro, and Big E. Push one, keep one, fire one. Before I even get on to that, right, WWE have now started calling Cesaro just plainly Cesaro. I don't like it. It's Antonio Cesaro. I don't know why. I've always preferred for a wrestler to have two names if they're using a name and not so much a gimmick. Like The Rock, it works. The Undertaker, it works. Big Show, it works. Kane, to an extent, that works. But Cesaro, no, I think he's better off as Antonio Cesaro, and now just call him Big E, Big E. I think he should still be Big E Langston. That's just me, being a petulant little child then, but I don't agree with the name shortages. Anyway, I'll get on to your question, John. Push one, keep one, fire one. Um, Well, you guys know me, and you know that both Daniel Bryan and Antonio Cesaro are in my top 5 wrestlers list, of my personal favorites. So it's nothing personal to Biggie Langston, but I'm going to have to fire him. And as Daniel Bryan is currently on the push of a lifetime, right now I'm going to say push Cesaro and keep Bryan because he's obviously going to get pushed, you know, to the moon. So, um, thank you for your questions, John. I had a couple of questions from Joey, my man. Shout out to Joey. Um, what is your reaction to the following statement? If someone bullies you, just say stop. You're giving me an erection. Do you know? I can't believe that I've just read that. What is the world coming to? um, what what's my reaction to the following statement? You know, I've actually got to find a way to make this relevant to my everyday life now. Uh, I, I, I'm gonna entice somebody to bully me. Like I'll just start tying my hair in pigtails and wearing lipstick, and eventually somebody will be like, "Ugh, you little fag," and I'll just be like, "You stop it! You're giving me an erection," and it's gonna work. It's gonna be brilliant. Thank you for the idea. Favorite TV show? This is a hard one. I've got so many favorites. I'm a man of many favorites. Like from your serious sort of stuff like The Walking Dead and Breaking Bad. Big fans of both of them. But then I've got a lot of comedy shows that I like The Mighty Boosh. Is to The Mighty Boosh is sort of a cult following in Britain. It's not popular, and I highly doubt that any of the American fans, you guys would have heard of it. If you have, great. If you haven't, please go look it up. You've got to have a sort of very diverse sense of humor to sort of get the stuff they're going with. But I love it. So I'm actually going to say my out and out answer would be The Mighty Boosh, even though close favourites would be The In-Betweeners, Family Guy, and American Dad, a lot as well. Walking Dead. Lie to Me as well with Tim Roth, that was great. Your favourite TV show character? Back to The Mighty Boosh, it would be Vince Noir, played by Noel Fielding. The character is just brilliant. He's this colourful, bright character, and he just does random things on a day-to-day basis, from like wearing ponchos and a sombrero because it makes him happy. He's wearing cowboy boots. He's just this colourful, vibrant personality, and I love it. I think I'd have to say Vince Noir would be my favourite TV show character. Can you do any impressions? If so, show us. Um, I don't know. I can do a couple. I mean, again, I don't know how big you guys are on soccer, but there's a football player for Liverpool FC, called Steven Gerrard. He's got a very Scouse accent, and when he talks, he just seems to break up a lot of his sentences by saying, So what I want you to do is, if you're watching this now, I want you to open up a side tab on YouTube, and type in Steven Gerrard interview. And you'll notice a lot how many times he does actually say in between his words. That's probably like the main one I can do. I mean, there's Howard off the Halifax advert with his very Birmingham accent. Um, I tell you what, I'll give it a go. I gotta give Bad News Barrett a go. Well, I'm afraid. No, that's not gonna work. Never mind. That was a complete fail from the off. Never mind. Thank you for your questions, Joey. As always, pleasure to answer them. Michael has asked me, who is your favourite 21-year-old on the site? And in brackets, please answer responsibly. Well, in times like this, I need to ask myself, what would CM Punk say? And being the egotistical maniac that CM Punk is, I'm going to say myself. I am my favourite 21-year-old on the website because I'm just totally awesome. Blatantly. Yeah, that wasn't the answer you were looking for, but nice try. Second question. What is your greatest achievement on the IWC? Please answer responsibly. How does anybody answer that responsibly? My greatest achievement on the IWC was, this is not the answer any of you would expect, but it was coming back. You're all well aware of my past. I've had serious problems with drug use, and it was a big part of my life that I needed to put behind me. And when I did, while I was going through all this, I wasn't on the IWC. I went away from it all, and I came back. And it was the best thing I did because after coming away from drug problems, you find a lot of your time is redundant. You don't know what to do anymore because you've been so used to living a certain lifestyle. So my proudest achievement on the IWC is coming back and being able to engage and interact with all you guys again because, other than that chat box, those threads and my webcam, we don't get to communicate. So just being back here is in itself my biggest achievement in the internet wrestling community. And I thank all of you for that, because I did get a huge amount of support from all of you while I was going through all that. So thank you guys. Um, will you ever live in the States, most specifically North Carolina? And again, in brackets, please answer responsibly. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, I will live in the States. I will live in the States, North Carolina? Mate, if I am coming over to the States, there's one place that I'm going, and it is straight to the sunny beaches of Southern California to live it up. You know, if anybody is gonna go anywhere, it's gonna be somewhere with sun and bitches and just, yeah, man, just it's gonna be Southern California. So yes, I will be coming to the States. I'll pay a visit to North Carolina though, home slice. You know I got you, homie. Thank you for your questions, Michael. And for my last lot of questions, which you'll have to bear with me a moment. My internet web pages are being a dick. So how are you guys? Yes, are you doing good? I think my web page is working now. I don't have to keep talking like this. Fantastic. Marvelous, darling. My last lot of questions were from Dean, who obviously, I just want to say congratulations to on Devin Smith becoming IWA champion. Yes, I was responsible for that, but that is because I believe um, I've seen Devin Smith's character transpire all through NGW, all through NIWA, and through several other promotions that have started up and died out. And you've always been keen to engage and for storylines to progress, but you've had to wait very patiently for your time to come around, and it's well deserved. So well done with that, mate, because you do deserve it. A preview of what's to come in IWA. Well, without giving away too much, I can just give you enough to sort of have a rough idea of what's going to be going on. At next month's pay-per-view, which I can't remember the name of right now, so you will have to forgive me for that. It will be headlined by the Golden Contract match, which in my own little way is a complete rip-off of the Money in the Bank. But it works, it generates a lot of interest, and this worked for me in the past, so I'm bringing it back. I think I'm going to go with a slightly different format this year. We haven't got a huge roster, so instead of having like the traditional between 6 and 8, WWE tried it once, and I think they went with Jericho, Big Show, Cena, and my brain is saying CM Punk, but I don't think it was CM Punk. No, it wasn't CM Punk. He was the champion at the time. I can't remember who the other guy was. But yeah, there was 4 guys in it, so I think going with 4 this year would be a better idea. As to who those 4 will be, I'm not going to spill the beans. I think a big preview was to come. Obviously, I briefly touched on Omega and Oblivion, but another one I can't stress enough is Devin Smith and Trenton York. That's going to be amazing because both you, yourself, Dean, and Grange are brilliant at cutting promos. Some of the most intense promos I've seen since I've been involved in the IWC have come from the both of you, and I know that great things are destined to happen with the two of you working together. So I do thoroughly look forward to seeing what you can come up with. There are big plans. You as individuals know what I've always tried to do with my threads that some others have, some others haven't, but I've always like tried to work with you guys as much as I can. And as you're watching this, all of you can relate to that. You know that I've popped up with a message saying, I've got this great idea for you guys, I want to go with this. And that's a big part to me, because if you know that there's something positive coming, you'll put in your better work, and that's what really makes a good thread. So it's it's really gonna be big, because I know you guys will contribute as much as you can, like you always have, to all of my threads, which I'm extremely grateful for. So yeah, there's gonna be some big things to come, and also just I gotta put this in there: the Devil's Reject, and just big things are gonna be happening for them. It's that when they first come about, you've definitely known that, yeah, Jigsaw's onto something with these guys. So it's going to be great to just see them go through the motions while IWA is running, and it's going to be really exciting. Top 5 finishers in IWA. Right. as I'm not actually looking at the what are they called, the applications list. I couldn't tell you, but I do like the diamond cutter. Starstruck, that's always been a favorite of mine. Devon's move. Um, I've always been a fan of. I'm trying to think now. I do like the 100% bomb as well with Omega. Um, I'm just trying to think of them off the top of my head without having to go through each of the pages. Well, what the hell? I'm going to throw Oblivion's up on there. Into Oblivion. It's a finisher that I've not always used, but since I've been using it, I won the 3XW World Heavyweight title, so can't complain. Um, I think I just named three there, but as I'm winging this, I hope that's cool, dude. Um, oh, right. The two big talking points now. Do you still respect CM Punk despite him quitting the WWE like some others? Yes, I do still respect CM Punk because whether he's right or wrong in doing what he's done, he stood his ground. He has worked consistently hard since joining in 2006. Has had very little time off in that time, only for injuries. Obviously, he had a couple of months off after WrestleMania last year because he was burnt out then. But you've got to speculate: is there more to it? Has he been promised things that he's not getting, and it's just pissed him off? Um, is he throwing his toys out of the prams and overlooking it all, or is it all a work? CM Punk's notorious since 2011 for um, the barrier between what's kayfabe and what's real. So it's really hard to tell. It does look like he has walked out, and if that's the case, then yes, I respect him, and I will still stand by him because I'm a avid fan of CM Punk. Right back to when he was on the indie circuit doing the Pepsi plunge. For those of you that aren't familiar, it's a pedigree off the top rope. He's always stuck to his guns, especially since he's been able to show how much of a great all-rounder he is. And ever since 2011, you've started to see that Phil Brooks as a person has come into CM Punk's character, particularly on occasions. So it's hard to tell, but I will still respect him and always will, always have. But I do want to see him back. And the biggest thing to me is that there must be a bigger underlying issue if he has really gone, because CM Punk, loving the industry like he does, would not want to miss WrestleMania 30. I mean, it's WrestleMania 30, it's the third decade celebration of WrestleMania, which is what they all work all year round for. So for him to give that up when he knows he'd have a guaranteed spot on the card, there's obviously something a lot deeper than we're thinking. You know, I think that there could be a falling out with Triple H there. And Triple H, who I have a lot of respect for as well, he strikes me as a guy that would wear socks in bed for some weird reason. I think he's another guy that's very in his own way with his principles. Like it's well known Zack Sierra. Shit, I'm muddling my names up. Triple H doesn't like Zack Ryder, and this is a big thing that pissed me off about Triple H was he did not like Cassius Ohno and was reluctant to push him up onto the main roster because he wanted him to get into better shape. Now, obviously, Cassius Ohno with the long hair and the beard is very, very similar to Triple H's look, other than the physique. So it's like, what the fuck, man? Cassius Ohno is one of the most talented wrestlers, and he's also very talented in promos as well. I was really miffed with that, finding out that the reason behind his departure was because Triple H wanted him to get into better shape, which is ridiculous. Because 15 years ago, do you think he was saying to Shawn Michaels, "Oh, Shawn, I think your career would be benefited from you getting into better shape"? No, he's the boss now and he's calling the shots now, and I respect that. But to be telling guys you need to get in better shape is wrong, because that doesn't define whether they get across with the fans or not. How they perform and how they do and how they connect with those fans is how they get across. and this is where Bautista is coming from. These sort of things are coming from the fact that he is where he is largely because of his look. Batista never had an amazing move set. He's always been average at promos, and he has been able to pull the audience in the closing moments of a match, which is a big part of being successful. But yeah, it all comes back to this. You've got to be a bodybuilder to make it in the industry, and I don't like that view. But sorry, I went off there completely. But back to the point, yeah, I do still respect CM Punk for leaving, mainly because he wouldn't miss out on WrestleMania 30 unless he had very good reason, because we all know CM Punk loves the industry. So that's just a point for people to think about that aren't currently respecting his decision. So, thoughts on Daniel Bryan's WrestleMania situation? For me, Daniel Bryan, another guy in my top five. Um, yes, extremely happy that he is going to be wrestling twice at WrestleMania. Whether he wins both matches, I don't know. But for them to sort of dangle it in front of you and say, "Oh, look, we might put him in the main event," that he will win that match. There's no doubt about that in my mind. When he goes into the world title match then with Orton and Batista, I think that would be the point where they'd really want to get to the fans. And what I've got to say for that is, yes, it's going to piss so many people off that Daniel Bryan doesn't have that defining moment at WrestleMania 30 where he lifts up both titles. But for anybody that's sort of getting on the bandwagon and saying Daniel Bryan is being misused or mistreated, and I do the inverted commas because that is a myth and that is wrong. And this isn't just because of how he's been the last year. When you look back right to the start with the whole Nexus angle, right? Daniel Bryan got fired for choking out Justin Roberts by his tie, which is against WWE protocol. He was re-signed. Now, if you were that miffed off with a guy that he's broken the protocol, which was very touch and go after the Benoit situation, to re-sign him, he's obviously got a special talent. Now, this is before the Yes movement. This is before any of that. This was before he'd even won his first title in WWE. Then he went on to a very successful singles run, feuding with The Miz, winning the United States title. After that, there was a brief couple of months or so where he got drafted to SmackDown and was just sort of in mid-card obscurity. Then he won the Money in the Bank. Again, mid-card obscurity, but he cashed in on Big Show, and from there, it's continued to snowball. It's continued to get bigger and bigger. He's gone from a world title reign, losing in 18 seconds, being one of the best heels on the roster, forming with Kane, Team Hell No, the whole AJ thing. It all worked brilliantly. Then Daniel Bryan started coming to his own as a singles wrestler after Team Hell No once again, and it took off. The Yes movement picked up again after it started. The Yes movement, that's what it's called now. I mean, the whole Yes chant has been going for over two years. 2 years? Yeah, 2 years now. So, he's always been in their mind, right back from the Nexus angle, all the way up to today with him fighting Triple H. You look at everything he's done, he's always been in their mind, he's always been on their books. He hasn't been misused or mistreated throughout this entire time because he has had a prominent spot in his WWE career, which is more than what can be said for a lot of other people, like Kofi Kingston, like Damien Sandow, like The Miz, who has been up and down to the point where he was main event in WrestleMania, to the point now where for a couple of weeks on Raw, he was feuding with Kofi Kingston, switching back and forth between face and heel, and then just coming down in the middle of a match, saying two words on commentary and disappearing. That would be a misuse of Daniel Bryan. That would be mistreatment of Daniel Bryan. So I'm very glad, back to the point, that he's going to be in the WrestleMania main event. Very glad. Because I'm saying that because I know he's going to beat Triple H. That's where I think they're going to get the fans and dangle it just in front of them, and then have Orton retain or Batista winning the title, I think. I'd love to be wrong though, because what a night that would be for wrestling fans that have been fans of Bryan Danielson just from his indie days. Daniel Bryan was wrestling over here in the UK, wrestling on the Butlins circuit. Now, Butlins is somewhere you go for a caravan holiday over here. He'd wrestle in places like that in front of 100 people, where 70 of them were kids, and that's just a huge thing, a huge thing that he's going to be in that spot at WrestleMania. And the thought of him lifting both titles at the end of the night is a very appealing one. But I think they want to keep drawing out this storyline as long as they can, probably even into SummerSlam if they can. But yeah, I'm glad that, you know, it is starting to peak for him now. But like I say, for those that think he's been misused and mistreated, you'd be wrong. So that's my 2 cents on that. And that concludes all my questions. So thank you very much for asking me all your questions, guys. I look like a nerd, and take care. Thank you very much. And I've gone to find the thing to close this as always. Technology always fails me.